Hi, 8th graders. Today we're going to talk about solving systems of linear equations by elimination. So I'm actually going to teach this lesson using the worksheet, but I wanted to show you that this was out on Big Ideas. If you didn't feel like you had a good grasp of it, you can find it on Big Ideas. How do you find it? Well, if you go to the Big Ideas menu or the dashboard, you would go to Dynamic Classroom. And then on the menu, just keep in mind on the menu, you have all of the different examples. So you can find that. Let's see, got some glare here. So you can find that on the chapter. You can see that this is 5.3 that we're on. And each one has an explanation of how to solve it. And it also, so you have a video, and then it also has try-its for each of the examples. So I just wanted you to know that that was out there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the solving the linear system of equations. You can see what the answers are here, because I know you want to check your answers. So each one that you do, and the question was, or I don't think there was a question. I think it was just if you solved it correctly, it would spell the word perfect. So I like those so you can kind of say, okay, because it's really, the answers just show you how to get to, that you're doing it correctly. So I like those. But really, for the quick review, you align the equations with like terms in the columns. If needed, multiply one or both of the equations by a number so that there are opposite coefficients for one of the variables. What that does is that cancels out one of the variables, which has been when we used substitution in the transitive property. All we're trying to do is get it down to one variable so that we can solve for the other variable. Once we know what one value is, x or y, we can solve for the other variable. You add the equations and solve for the remaining variable, and then you substitute that value in one of the other original equation, and then that'll get you your solution. Now that's a lot of words, so I'm going to show you what that actually looks like. This is actually one of my favorite ways of solving linear systems, because math is the pursuit of laziness. So number one, and if you can figure out a faster way to solve things, that's always nice. So number one is 2x plus 3y equals 7. And then you have 4x minus 3y equals 5. Now, if you were solving, first of all, you couldn't use the transitive property because no variables are isolated. You could use substitution, but you'd have to isolate one of the variables. So this elimination method is really nice. Basically what they're saying is align the like terms up. So align the x's, align the y's, align the constants. And do you see how you have opposite coefficients here? So plus 3y and minus 3y actually cancels it out. So now you just add the x's. I have 2 x's and 4 x's, which gives me 6 x's. And I have 7 plus 5, which is 12. If I divide both sides by 6, so now x equals 2. Now that I know the value of x is 2, I can choose which equation I want to plug the value of x in to solve for y. I'm going to do the first one because I like positive variables. So I'm going to write 2, and instead of x, I'm going to put 2 plus 3y equals 7. So now when I do this, that's going to give me 4 plus 3y equals 7. I divide both the top, or I divide, I'm sorry, I don't divide, I subtract. Subtract 4 from both sides, and that is going to give me 3y equals 3. And now I divide each term by 3 so that y equals 1. So the solution for this linear system, x equals 2, y equals 1, and that's the answer. So we'll go on to number 2. Erase my whiteboard here. I'm going to use it on the whiteboard because I'll have more room to write. Okay, so number 2, you have 4x plus 5y equals 16, and you have negative 4x minus 10y equals 4. So your terms, your like terms are aligned. You can see you have a positive 4x and a negative 4x. That's going to cancel out. So now I'm going to combine my y's. 5y's minus 10y's is going to give me negative 5y. And 16 plus 4 is going to give me 20. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. That cancels out my negatives and my 5's so that I have y is isolated. 20 divided by negative 5 is negative 4. Now I know that y is negative 4. I'm going to plug that back in to my original equation, and I'll use the top one again. 4 times 4x plus 5 times a negative 4 equals 16. And now I'm going to multiply that. So 4x minus 20 equals 16. I'm going to add 20 to both sides. And I have 4x is now isolated. And I have 16 plus 20, which is 36. Divide each side by 4. X equals 9. So now I have my solution, x equals 9 and y equals negative 4. And that's what we had for that one. I am going to switch dry erase markers because my black one is kind of going dead. And the next problem is number 3, negative 6x minus 2y equals 10. And I have 3x plus 2y equals 8. So when you look at this, these cancel out. So I like these because it's much faster than substitution, and I don't have to distribute either. Negative 6x plus 3x is negative 3x, and 10 plus 8 is 18. Divide both sides by negative 3. It's going to cancel that out, and x equals a negative 6. Now you know that x equals negative 6. Plug it back into one of the original equations. I'm going to use the positive one. So 6 times, it should be 3 times a negative 6 plus 2y equals 8. So now when you multiply that, you're going to have a negative 18 plus 2y equals 8. Add 18 to both sides. You have 2y equals 26. So now you just divide both both sides by 2. Y equals 13. So your solution is negative 6, 13. So what I like about this worksheet also